Hello and welcome to the Dietitians. My name is JeJe Noval, registered dietitian, and I am here with 4 fabulous graduate dietetics students. I would like to introduce you to them. The first one that we will speak to is Anita Abdul Karim. Hello, Anita.
Hello, Ms. Noval.
Please tell us where you are from and what was it that made you decide, I am going to become a dietitian?
Okay, so I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I was pretty much sick of hearing about all the fads and all the trends and just being fooled. I was into a lot of diets when I was younger, and I just wanted to know the truth and share that with the world.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next student that I have to my right is Ellen Hawks. Hi, Ellen.
Hi.
Please tell us where you are from and what was it about Loma Linda University that made you decide that is the place where I want to obtain my education from?
Well, I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and
Wow.
it's right on the coast, so the beach.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't snow there. So Loma Linda pretty much had what I needed, no snow.
There you go. A lot of sun.
That was really the deciding factor,
Excellent.
No snow.
There you go. We're glad you've come to sunny California.
Yeah.
Although today it is raining outside, but it's all good. And to my left, we have Aletta Kennedy. Hello, Aletta.
Hello, Ms. Noval.
Where are you from? And I forgot what my question was for you, but it will come. The question is, it's coming back to me now. Once you do have your RD credentials, what is your ultimate dream job?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm from Hungary, and
Yes.
so this is a long ways from home for me. But my dream job, it's so hard to say. This field really opens up so many possibilities for students, but really I think what I would like to do is integrate my beliefs about the importance of fitness and exercises like yoga to find a holistic approach to treating people, to helping them find a healthy life. And so combining nutrition with exercise and with yoga in one big package.
Wonderful. That sounds good to me. Thank you. And last but not least, we have Sheena Hamilton. Hello, Sheena.
Hello.
Where are you from? And once you have completed your education here at Loma Linda, are you deciding to stay around the Inland Empire area? And what job would you like to land here? Or would you like to fly the coop and go to another part of the country?
Well, I'm from about an hour east from Palm Springs, which is the
Okay.
sunny desert.
Yes, yes it is.
And as far as where I'd like to go, I'm not entirely sure. I do kind of have an interest in the Pacific Northwest,
Oh,
so
okay.
possibly that area. And as far as what I will be doing, similar to Aletta's answer, I'm not quite sure because there are so many open opportunities in this field. So
Right.
I'm still deciding that.
Okay, there you go. In God's time, He'll let you know. There you go. All right. So please stay tuned as the ladies will debunk a few of nutrition myths that you might have already come across.
So hello, as Ms. Noval so kindly introduced us, we're going to be talking about some common popular trends that you might have come across recently in the media with regards to nutrition supplements or whatever else. There's just so much information out there, and it's really hard to tell the truth from just quackery, really. So we wanted to address really the biggest, I guess, trends, we should say, and just really unwrap it and see what the truth is. So actually, first of all, we wanted to talk about one of those trends you probably came across. It's become huge, the gluten-free diet. If you haven't heard about it, we'll explain to you what it is, but basically it's become a diet trend, and it's taken on a life of its own, really. So let's break this down. Gluten-free diet, as it says, it involves a diet that is free of gluten. So what is gluten? Well, gluten is actually a protein. It's the protein component of wheat and related grains, so such as rye, barley, and spelt. Actually, oats are generally considered to have some trace amounts of gluten because of processing and cross-contamination. So it's really a protein component that is composed of 2 subcomponents, really, which is gliadin and glutenin, which we'll talk a little bit about later. But what's important to know is that we love gluten because it gives bread its fluffiness, the chewy texture, that bite to it. And obviously manufacturers like gluten because it helps the bread rise, it helps give it that that texture that really makes it sell better, that is palatable. So it's interesting, some studies are now pointing out that, 100 years ago or so, the wheat and grains in general, they contain much less gluten than they do today. So when this was kind of unveiled, that's when people started noticing, well, so we're eating so much more gluten now than we did 100 years ago. Can it be hurting us? Can this be bad for us? So really that became a trend. Actually, one more thing, with another source where you might find gluten, which is a little bit tricky, especially if you're a vegetarian, meat substitutes. So traditionally low protein items that they try to fortify with protein, gluten becomes a really good source of that. So a lot of times the meat alternatives that we see in the stores, like the chicken and beef and whatever alternatives, a lot of times it's soy isolate and gluten. So, you find it in so many places other than just bread. But anyway, long story short, people go on these diets, why?
Well, you might hear some crazy reasons why people might go on these diets. One of them is for weight loss. And the theory behind that is gluten is in bread, and it's in a lot of carbohydrate-rich foods. So they believe that reducing this food, reducing gluten, might reduce their intake of carbohydrates, and we'll see why that would cause problems for them in the future. One other reason is that they believe it might harm their stomach lining for some reason if they consume it over time, which is also not true. And one of my favorites is, they might think that it will improve their tennis performance. That was the most interesting one I've heard.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so Sheena, tell us a little bit about why these might not be true.
Well, basically, gluten-free products are not necessarily, as healthy as we may assume, because they have less fiber and maybe even more sugar, and they are processed, so they contain other ingredients that are mysterious. They're also made from grains that are lower in minerals such as magnesium and iron and B vitamins, such as rice. Rice-based products is a big thing with gluten-free products. Also, outside factors may be occurring as to why you're gaining weight and maybe you're having trouble losing weight, such as like stress, lack of exercise, lack of sleep, exactly.
Right.
So, you can't pinpoint it to a food. And, we're recommended, the Academy of Dietetics and Nutrition actually recommends that we consume a certain amount of whole grains, in order to meet our needs for those vitamins and minerals and to get a varied diet, which is important. And, also there are some studies that show that whole grains help reduce or prevent your risk of getting type 2 diabetes and chronic diseases such as that. So you want to explain to us more about who actually needs to be gluten-free?
Yes. Well, there are certain people that rely on a gluten-free diet, such as people who have celiac disease, which is when they have damage to their intestinal lining because their body produces an antibody, which is a protein that reacts to the harmful substance in their body. And so basically when the damage happens inside the lining, the nutrients cannot get in. And so there are a lot of problems that come about with having celiac disease. But there's also non-celiac gluten intolerance, which is where your body doesn't produce the antibodies, but you still have the symptoms of celiac disease, such as certain distress, and intestinal problems. And then you have a wheat allergy, which is when your body is just producing the antibody to wheat only and not gluten. And then you have people who have sensitivities to wheat, and then they can have the rye, the barley, the other things that have gluten in it. So it's not necessarily have to be on a gluten-free diet, but they need to either avoid gluten if they have celiac disease, which is about only 10% of the population. There's some numbers out there that they've come up with. And they say about 18% having certain reactions to it. But you should always get tested if you think you have a problem before you go off gluten, because you could get inconclusive results if you get the test after you've been off and removed it from your diet. So those are some of the reasons why you would need, a gluten-free diet.
It sounds hard to maintain if you're not gluten-free.
Yeah, it's true.
It is hard. Yes.
All right.
That's true.
So let's talk about another issue or not necessarily issue, but another food that has been a huge fad within the nutrition community or non-nutrition community, protein bars. So are these glorified candy bars, or are they actually good for us? Do we need these? You know, that's what, you know, the questions are needing to be answered.
Right.
So why do people eat them? Basically, they think they need more protein. Protein is the huge marketing scheme of today, I think.
Yeah.
You know, we need protein all the time, no matter what our conditions are.
For the muscles.
Whether we're working out or, you know, we just need it. So those are, I think, some of the reasons why we are consuming protein bars. Convenience. It's something easy to eat on the go.
Just pop
We are
it
an
in.
on-the-go society. That's anything convenient, we will buy it. So also, you know, media influence, huge. You know, again, it's that protein. We need it. You know, every commercial, even, you know, milk, sometimes they perpetuate the protein in that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
They're also made to be extremely tasty. Let's not forget
Exactly. And you know,
right.
it's so interesting that the taste, you know, they want to convey that taste that's going to, or manufacturers want to convey that taste that's going to attract you to want to keep eating it. But then, you know, when you're eating a Snickers bar, I mean, when you're eating a candy bar, you have this kind of guilt sometimes. Oh, I shouldn't be eating so much chocolate. But all of a sudden, it's a protein bar. Protein's good for me. Therefore, the guilt is gone. The halo effect is there. And hello, I can eat candy and feel good about it.
Right.
Or 5 of them.
Or 5 of them. I mean, you never know.
Several a day, maybe.
It's interesting. I coach these athletes, and they pop them in like during workouts, after workouts, because they think that without these bars, they're not going to get the result. Well, we're forgetting that, you know, at the end of the day, it's food, it's calories, it's nutrients, and we could probably get it from healthier sources. You know, the protein bars that I normally look at, they can be anywhere from 300 to 400 calories in just one tiny bar that you can eat in less than a minute. I mean, it's crazy. They're high in sugar. You know, with one bar, you can max out your daily recommended quota for added sugars. And then let's not even talk about the ones that substitute those added sugars with sugar alcohols, which can bring on a slew of their own very uncomfortable gastrointestinal side effects.
While running, maybe.
Well, I've seen that too. So then saturated fat. You know, we know saturated fat is solid at room temperature, so it's perfect for bars like this that, you know, need to have a shelf life. It holds it together. And there is no regulation on what can be called a protein bar. So really, I can manufacture a bar that has 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 grams of protein, you know, have 200-300 calories in it, call it a protein bar. Whereas really, is that really a lot of protein in a bar? No, it's not. So,
No, not really.
you know, at the end of this story, there are real foods that are so much better for us.
Right. There are so many alternatives for snacking and protein. You could do a handful of nuts, for instance. You have walnuts, almonds, maybe little pistachios, cashews.
Takes you longer to chew those than those bars, for
And then you have nut butters if you want something quick, you know. You also have a cheese stick, cottage cheese, a yogurt, Greek yogurt, tons of protein. You also have hummus, for instance, you know, quick little different alternatives. So don't always reach for the protein bar. You know, go to your grocery aisles around the perimeters and, you know, eat your fruits and vegetables that have protein, I mean, with your protein, or, you know, little snacks.
Always read the label.
Always read the
Always
label.
read the label.
Right.
Yes. So we've talked a lot about the protein bars, which to some people is a god and that they worship. And thank you, Ellen, for clarifying some of those things that we can incorporate and have a variety of things to do. Now, into our next topic. This topic, a lot of people like to look at as a religion. And let's talk about juicing, guys.
Let's talk about juicing.
Oh,
Look
she
what
got
I
it.
have here. Yes, the juicer right here.
So where do you put in the vegetables?
Oh, right
Or
here.
fruit?
You push them down. All the pulp comes out here. Just the little
your
bitty
juice
juice
just-
comes out here. Always important to have this down. You've had a little explosion.
Might be dangerous.
Yes.
You know what strikes me about it is you put so much in and so little comes out here,
Yeah.
and it's just
I wonder what we do with the rest of that.
I know. Well, some of the reasons, you know, I've heard about some very interesting ones. Why people like to juice. And I've heard that they're miracles, such as preventing Alzheimer's, curing cancer. They're a great weight loss. I've heard a detox, you know, juice for 5 days and you'll be great. You know, I think, you know, you'll be hungry. That is true. You know, people think, oh, that's where I get my vitamins. You can get them from doing a balanced diet as well. There's so many things I've heard of from documentaries. They're saying it changed their lives. They're in this euphoric state. Again, because they're hungry. There's so many reasons why I've heard about juicing. I mean, nobody needs to go out and go get one of those, necessarily. It's not required for a healthy diet.
Let's keep that back there. Then.
Yeah.
We'll keep that
Yeah.
And then not to mention, again, the nutritional aspects of it. I mean, yes, it's just liquid and we consume it so fast we don't realize the calories, but it's really not the same. If you're juicing an orange, you're juicing apple versus juicing like cucumber or kale. I mean, juicing fruits especially, you're getting concentrated sugar. Yes, you're getting vitamins. No, you're not getting the fiber because that's the stuff that is excluded from the juice.
Which goes in the trash.
And that would actually be what keeps you full, right? It's the good stuff. I mean, it's part of the good stuff in fruit. So, I mean, it just puzzles me. Why not just eat the orange or eat the apple? I mean, why would you want to just drink an extract of the sugary stuff, which actually some research has shown that, and there is a viable biochemical mechanism there. If you ingest too much of the fructose, which is the primary sugar in the fruits, it can result to higher triglyceride levels in the blood, which obviously is not something we desire, especially given all the problems with obesity and cardiovascular disease in today's world. So, if you crave that orangey taste, buy an orange, peel it. It doesn't take that long. Bite into an apple.
Great on-the-go snack, instead of that. Get your vitamins throughout the day.
I mean, it's one orange. It will take you so much longer to eat with its, 60, 80 calories than this much juice containing like 120, because not to mention you need so much produce to put in there to get a little bit of juice out that you're wasting money, you're wasting fiber. I mean, but that's my opinion, obviously. Everyone else can have a different take on it too.
So I guess basically, to break it down, it can be expensive because you're buying
very expensive.
A lot of food that is going into a very small result, you know, and then, if you don't have a purpose for the pulp, the extra, then you're throwing that away, or maybe you compost, but still it's expensive and wasteful. Ecologically, it's not that sound either. We care about the environment, and you should care about the environment. It is kind of, where our products grow, but so it's not the best in those two manners. But also we know that it's not exceptionally healthful for us in that, our body has special mechanisms, that powerhouses like the liver that help filter a lot of
we have our own detox system.
Exactly.
So why spend, sometimes even $100, but $70 to $100 on a day of just getting boxes of juice when your own organs do that for you already? It's interesting if some people would, and what we were saying about that euphoria with the hunger. Well, yeah, if you're eating 600 calories a day, I mean, you're
starvation almost.
Exactly.
Right. So you have that, biological filtration system, and if you're concerned about vitamins and nutrients, again, a varied diet is the way to go.
Eat your fruits and vegetables.
Eat your fruits and vegetables, whole grains. Should be okay.
It's okay to use a fork.
Exactly.
It's okay to bite into
You don't need to drink it. So another topic I've been hearing quite often about is coconut sugar. Coconuts.
I love coconuts.
Coconut this, coconut that, but coconut sugar in specifics, has been the hot topic on especially daytime television. So, I mean, what's the big deal?
So some of the reasons why people might be starting to bow down to this product is they think that it's more diabetic friendly. They think that the effects it might have on the body is not similar to just regular sugar. And we'll go into that and we'll explain why that's not true. Another reason is they might think that it will cause weight loss, which is the reason why all these other foods we've talked about might make its way into the market too. So, Aletta, will you please tell us about some benefits that might actually come out of this?
Okay, so again, I'm always very skeptical of these things, but let's just lay down the facts. There are some benefits which are associated with coconut sugar, which is why we're all paying attention to it. So there's always some foundation, but that has to do with coconut sugar, the way that it's extracted from the coconut tree, it contains a type of a fiber called inulin, which theoretically would slow your stomach. It would slow the absorption of the sugar, therefore creating less of a blood sugar spike that you would associate with normal sugar. So if you've, and we've talked about the glycemic index, which essentially is just a measure of how quickly sugar from a particular food or source of carbohydrate gets dumped into the bloodstream, and what that rise is like. A lot of times we eat something very sugary, and then our blood sugar drops after like 2 hours, and we're famished. And so, long story short, the glycemic index of table sugar is 60 on this scale. It's all relevant relative to glucose, which is just pure blood glucose, blood sugar. The glycemic index value of coconut sugar is 35. So yes, it's lower. It's going to have a more kind of subtle rise in blood sugar. It's not going to give you that crash and burn phenomenon.
So would you recommend it to your diabetic patients?
I think it could be a good diabetic alternative, but also it has all the some minerals, some extra vitamins. People say it's less like empty calories. It's more nutritious sugar in a way. But at the same time, I wouldn't wholeheartedly say I recommend it for diabetic clients, because at the end of the day, you're still eating sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
That's true.
It's not like a low-calorie substitute.
No, it's not a sugar substitute. So if you're diabetic and thinking this is a sugar substitute, it is not. It's still 4 calories per gram, which are the other carbohydrates give you. And even though it does, make a lower glycemic index on the scale, it still makes your blood sugar rise. So if you have diabetes, you need to make sure you consult your doctor or your dietitian, for that matter, about counting carbohydrates, for instance. But you still have to put a certain amount into your diet. And even though it does have some minerals, it's not what I would say the new product that should be used interchangeably. Because it's still sugar at the end of the day. Basically.
And so a lot of the claims say, it's great for weight loss. It's like the miracle substitute for regular sugar and baking goods. But are you really substituting sugar out if you're still putting in the same amount of calories? At the end of the day, you're in the same place. You might be adding a trace amount more potassium, trace more iron, some more B vitamins, but I mean, you might as well just not eat junk food and,
You'd have to consume a lot of coconut sugar in order for those vitamins to even really be viable in your diet. So,
I'd so much rather just chew on an apple or
bite
into a banana. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, and especially you can freeze bananas and pop them in the freezer and then make little banana popsicles.
Now you're getting
That's
me
my favorite.
That is
That's
true.
making me hungry.
Yeah.
major sugar, right? So.
Another one I've looked at is trends, or people calling it a trend, is kale.
Oh,
For
yeah.
instance,
I love kale.
it's not a trend. It's a vegetable.
Exactly.
It is a delicious vegetable. You can
So
put it in your
versatile.
stews, make chips. On the way to go. Another snack, for instance. It's not a trend.
Would you juice kale?
You can, but you're really wasting all
That fiber.
the fiber. I mean,
good
it
stuff.
tastes good to really just take a bite out of it. Put it in with your eggs
Maybe in
if
a
you want.
smoothie instead of juicing.
Exactly.
Alana, what's
And,
your favorite way of eating kale?
Yeah, I love kale. You know me, I'm all about it. But a lot of times people say that it kind of deters them from eating kale, that it's so hard and so bitter. So, but you can enjoy raw kale. It's actually very easy. If you add a little lemon juice and a little salt, you massage it into the kale. It softens it. The acid and the salt, they really, especially if you pop it in the fridge for like an hour after, it comes out and it's all soft, and you have your natural salad dressing because it's all lemony. Maybe a little garlic. Oh, so good.
And there are
So
different
good.
types of kale too, so
Oh,
not
yeah.
all of them are, as rough. But
I like that contact that you're describing with your food.
You're massaging
Just like,
it on.
you know,
I know.
Feeling it,
Like-
smelling it, tasting
Yeah.
it. Wow, I really love it. The best way I've experienced kale is in white bean soup.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it sounds delicious. You get that protein from the beans. You get those vitamins and minerals from the kale, and any other vegetable you really want to throw in.
Tomatoes, make
yeah.
it Tuscan style
Yes.
if you want.
I feel like it's just a great filler for any stew that you just need some substance to.
Yes,
It's great.
yes.
Low, I mean, half a cup has 25, 35 calories. And it's just
And especially if you're not celiac or have a gluten intolerance with a sourdough grilled cheese.
Oh.
Wow, that'll just.
Now
You can make it, you can make it on gluten-free bread, you know,
That
for
is
instance.
true.
But
Helen, do you know
if
any-
you have celiac.
Do you know
for
any
instance.
gluten-free breads that you like or enjoy, or any other alternatives that you might use
I
for
tend to
bread?
make them sometimes.
Okay.
You know, I really enjoy cooking a lot, so I tend to buy what I can't, or make what I can't buy. You know, for instance, because that hard cookie in the store, there's alternatives. Not the same as that popping out the oven, chocolate chip cookie, melt in your mouth. Yeah.
make your own
And that's
It's
why-
always better homemade.
I mean, and that's the way that you can ensure that there are the things you need in your gluten-free bread, you know. Whereas if you're buying something from the store, you may not get the fiber like we had talked about earlier, and
Yeah.
You'll get also the other additives,
or
maybe.
any whole grains,
So,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
it-
could add them in with your baking with them,
Right.
for instance.
so that's always better that way, I feel.
Yeah.
But I mean, what about going back to kale? What about how kale compares to other greens? I mean, some people argue kale is so much better than
that it's superior to other
spinach
things.
or. You know.
Well, it's interesting. I see that, you know, with spinach especially, the kale is a little bit lower in oxalates or phytic acid, which is something that will inhibit the absorption of certain minerals. So in a way, there's much more bioavailability of the good stuff in kale versus spinach, which spinach is very high in so many nutrients, but it has these components that can inhibit, keep you from absorbing them. So in that sense, kale is a lot better.
So we have a
than
better chance
spinach.
hanging on to those minerals.
Exactly. Plus, it's much higher. It's calcium. The bioavailability of calcium in kale is phenomenal.
Which is important.
Yeah.
especially
It's so for bone
for us.
density. Oh yeah.
You know.
Probably won't gain any
Yes.
weight either.
It's not good. No, you won't get fat from kale.
So really, you just need to do your research. If you see come across something that's in the media, try checking out scholarly articles or looking up things from a dietitian, for instance. We go to school to study food.
Yes.
So.
Right. And we
We
love it.
are-
And we like to talk about
Yes.
it.
And here is our teacher.
Welcome back, Ms. Ross.
Welcome back. Ladies, you know what? I really enjoyed listening to the conversation. You guys packed in a lot of interesting info, so you guys know your information so well. But the thing is, isn't it, as dietitians, the more we talk about food, the more it makes us hungry?
Yes.
And, yeah, that's the thing. If your appetite
Right.
is not that good, keep talking about food.
Yeah.
It makes you want to eat.
Yeah.
So
Just
that's,
snack on some kale.
and there you go, those kale chips.
Time to go get some.
Good. Make some kale chips. All right. So the thing is, you guys have really cleared a lot of myths that a lot of people have practiced, but I hope our students here, our dietetic students, have encouraged you to put all those processed foods aside and to start eating whole foods today. Thank you so much for joining us.